she already went.
This is RMU Sentry Media's live coverage of the gubernatorial elections presented by the Society of Collegiate Journalists. I'm Hannah Smith.
And I'm Dante Verme, and over the next 2 hours, we'll be showing you the key moments and events leading up to the results and the election of these elections, and whether or not Pennsylvania will have a new governor at the end of the evening. And according to Associated Press, in about 10 minutes ago, they're declaring Tom Wolf as the 47th president of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So it's pretty close, according to AP.
Yes, it is. Right now we're at 59.4, so it's definitely looking pretty good. Now let's go live. Now let's go live to Haley Sawyer at Tom Wolf's campaign headquarters.
Hi, I'm Haley Sawyer, and I'm here right now with Megan Winters, who's the Executive Director of Allegheny County Democrats. Now, Megan, tell me what's going on here tonight.
Well, tonight we're celebrating a Tom Wolf victory, and we're hopefully celebrating Democrats down the ticket here in Allegheny County, winning against the Republican incumbents, and also celebrating the fact that our Democratic incumbents won again.
And Wolf has been leading in the polls leading up to this night. How soon did you start celebrating?
So, I got here probably 8:05, and we had CNN on, and they called it. So, I guess his lead in the polls, exit polling really showed testament that Democrats came out to vote today, and we are solidly behind Tom Wolf as our next governor.
What are you hearing the people around here say, these things about him? What are they telling you?
I meet people all over telling me that he's a great businessman, and they love his background in the Peace Corps, and they just think that his background and his projection of what he thinks Pennsylvania can do in the future is exactly what we need.
And what are you expecting to see from him?
I expect him to take us from 50th in job creation, at least, back up to number 7, like we were not too long ago. I expect him to tax the Marcellus shale industry and help fund education throughout the state.
Excellent. Well, thanks for talking with us for a few minutes. It was great talking with you, and thanks for being with us. And we're going to send it right back over to the desk now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Delaney Hassel, and I will be your social media outlet for tonight. To start off the night, obviously, we just learned that Tom Wolf has become the 47th governor of Pennsylvania. Let's see what people are tweeting about it. So if we go to Wolf's own Twitter, you can see he just thanked Pennsylvania. He said, "Thank you for your support, Governor-elect Tom Wolf, who has now become, obviously, the governor." Great stuff. The Wolf crowd is dancing and clapping. Look, we got some live pictures. We've gone at Tom Wolf's headquarters, where Haley obviously just was. Let's see. Governor Tom Corbett has not been tweeting anything. No congratulations, and he hasn't actually tweeted since yesterday. Interesting stuff. He hasn't tweeted since yesterday, but then as you look down here, right along here, he hasn't tweeted since 4 days ago, and he hasn't really been tweeting at his voters. You look at Tom Wolf, who has been retweeting his followers saying, "Thank you so much," and just quoting them and things like that, whereas Tom Corbett has not been. And as you look down, he just is getting very involved with them. See a picture of him and his family there. Great looking stuff. He's just always saying thank you, whereas Tom Corbett has not been saying anything. That's very interesting, because in our world today, social media is so prevalent, and how Tom Wolf is really using that to his advantage, whereas Tom Corbett, who is behind, very behind throughout this whole race, and he knew he was behind, hasn't really been getting involved. So could we say that Tom Wolf has become a social media icon because of winning this race through social media? See, and then we get the "I voted" stickers, and someone said, "I voted for Wolf and support him." Got some great stuff. And then if we look at his hashtag, which is Fresh Start, 40 minutes ago, as Tom Wolf for PA slogan states, couldn't be a fresher start in PA. CNN reporting for Tom Wolf. With the polls closing, lots of new stuff. We have a lot of his videos being retweeted by Democrats. We got some great stuff going on. Also, we look at Tom Wolf, leader. We have Hillary Clinton right here with a video talking about Wolf. And we even have Bill Clinton earlier saying what a great governor he could be. See, Tom is going to be there for our families every day. Michelle Obama even tweeted at him. Look at this. And then we have this picture right here. Time is running out. Get out there and vote. Obviously, the polls have closed, but Wolf is trying to get out there at everybody till the end of the day. Let's see. Lots of people getting out your vote. Election day, that's what it's all about, is getting out there to vote. So why don't we see what's going on with the rest of election night? Take it away, guys.
All right, thank you, Delaney, so much. Now, this really isn't much of a surprise that he pulled through and won. He's been ahead most of the entire race.
Yes, it was kind of a given, and as of, well, it was really, we were just waiting for the official word, whether or not Tom Wolf would win. But now we have our own Vince Russo live at the Pittsburgh headquarters for Tom Corbett.
Standing here, 2 minutes ago, Susan.
All right, we apologize for the technical difficulties. So now, what do you think this means for Pennsylvania with Tom as governor, Tom Wolf?
I think it's really interesting for the state, especially first off for Wolf. I mean, it's his birthday month. His birthday's
It is.
a little under 2 weeks away for the York, Pennsylvania native. So, I mean, that's a pretty good birthday present for yourself, I think.
I agree. So now we are going to take a look at a Haley Sawyer giving us what the state of Pennsylvania will be looking like with Tom Wolf.
If we want to build a strong economy, a strong society, a strong Pennsylvania, fairness has to be at the center of that. Inclusion has to be at the center of that. Hope and trust, those things that actually make human
Tom Wolf is doing
relationships.
something very few politicians can manage. He's taking down the incumbent. Wolf has built up a positive rapport with voters early in the campaign to accomplish this.
He was running ads in Pennsylvania very, very early that got him a dramatic lead in the polls that he kept throughout the whole primary race. And he was able to introduce himself to all voters with those ads.
One topic Wolf constantly returns to is the idea of an extraction tax.
So the Corbett administration put an impact fee, which was a tax on new oil wells, and it would go to localities. And the Wolf campaign is saying that's not enough. We need to have a 5% gas extraction tax with money that would go to the state and that can be used to fund these things, this shortfall.
Another favorite issue of Wolf's is education.
Because I can stand up and say, you know, education is not an elective thing. Public education is something we need to support because that's how we get to a good society.
Wolf is a wealthy, well-educated businessman, but that's not the image he's created. His website emphasizes down-to-earth characteristics such as his community service, how he drives a Jeep, and how he's worked as a forklift operator.
Well, I wasn't trying to do any. My first effort to connect with the voters was my story. And I just said who I am. I do live in the same house I came home to from the hospital. I didn't make that up. I live in a small town in York County. I didn't make that up. I drive a Jeep. That's what I do. I distribute or share 20 to 30% of my net profit with my employees in my company. That's what I do. People, I think they like that.
He's basically a patrician, which is such an interesting dynamic because he's a Democrat, so you've got a businessman running as a Democrat and kind of the Republican trying to attack him with a lot of the same kind of attacks that Democrats typically level on Republicans. So I think that's created like cognitive dissonance with the voters a little bit and helped Wolf because he can rely on that experience as a businessman.
Whether Wolf is elected or not, the situation in Pennsylvania will be tough sledding.
I know what they're going to have to do, which is struggle to put a budget together. It's going to be a struggle. You don't get that sense reading the campaign materials or watching the campaign ads, but that's the reality.
Wolf has been leading in the polls throughout his campaign and is expected to win the election. For RMU Sentry Media, I'm Haley Sawyer.
Thanks again, Haley. We will be checking back in with her again later tonight at Tom Wolf's headquarters. But now, let's go to our winner.
Yes, the new governor of Pennsylvania is Tom Wolf. It's official.
Indeed.
Well, as we said earlier, it's something that was somewhat predictable. It was predictable for the last 9 or so months, but it's nice to finally have it official now.
Yeah, and even for a good part, he was leading ahead of Tom Corbett by double digits, which isn't seen very often. I know.
So we'll go to commercial break and come back, and we'll take you more in depth here as Tom Wolf is the new governor of the state of Pennsylvania.
Of course, I am here with Romo. How are you doing today, Romo? Great. All right, so Romo, just a few questions. How do you think the game is going right now for the Colonials? All right, on top of that, like, what do you think about the play of Paul Jones and his defense just demolishing Morgan State right now? All right, well, you heard it here first. Romo with his insight to the game. Back to you guys.
Be sure to tune in to Colonial Sports Center every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on RMUSentryMedia.com and Channel 98 around the Moon Township area.
Romo, have you downloaded the app?
Roma, have you seen this app?
Hey, have you seen the app yet? No? Alright, put it down. I'll show you what you can do. All you have to do is install it, and it'll open up for you. My favorite part of it is the police blotter. Check this out. When you click into it, you're going to go right to the top left, and as soon as you click on it, everything will be there that you need, so you can stay safe.
Download the RMU Sentry Media app on the App Store. Romo likes it, and so will you.
Welcome back to RMU Sentry Media's live gubernatorial election coverage. Now, it's been official, guys. We have a new governor, Tom Wolf. So Dante, what do you think maybe gave him such a high edge?
I think for Wolf, I think maybe the big thing is change. He's been promising change for the state, and a state with a lot of issues in terms of budget-wise, and some things have been cut that aren't good, some things that haven't been cut that maybe needed to be cut, but I think change is probably his big go-to, which is why now he's governor.
Yeah, and he will be taking over the governor position effective immediately. So now we have a look at what Pennsylvania would have possibly looked like had Tom Corbett been reelected. All right, I apologize, we actually do not have that for you right now. So I think another thing that had Tom Wolf give him like this big edge was that he was very relatable. He related to everyone because he still lives in the same house that he grew up in. He owns a family business and runs that. I mean, I just think people related to that.
Yeah, definitely. As you can see, he was someone that was trying really hard to sell the image of the man of the people. And I think for a lot of us average Joes, that's huge. I think you want someone that, understands the struggles of, living in the same house for a long time, driving, an average car. Jeep's pretty nice. It's not something that a lot of other politicians drive, in terms of a Mercedes or something. But I think he wanted to give the image of a man of the people. And I think that's what helped him win as governor.
Yeah, I agree. He just had this he just very much related to the people, because whenever we went and talked to him ourselves, he was just always very kind. I mean, Tom Corbett was too, but there was just something about Tom Wolf that the people really liked and related to.
Yes, absolutely. He's a local guy. He's out of York, Pennsylvania. So I think that's also a big factor. I think for someone who is a Pennsylvania, you want someone from your state representing your state.
Yes. All right, and now we are going to go back to Delaney Hassel to give you the latest updates on Twitter.
Welcome back, guys. Once again, I'm your social media outlet tonight. So again, Tom Wolf, 47th governor of Pennsylvania. Congratulations. And so Wolf, again, has been tweeting 4 minutes ago. York Mayor Kim Bracey is leading the supporters in the Cupid Shuffle fun dance. Looks like they're all having a great time celebrating his victory. Again, this is that picture again. They're dancing and clapping. Looks like so much support over at Wolf headquarters. So now we can go back over, let's go to PA Politics. It's hashtag PA Politics. Check it out. It said, happy to see our old boy gone for a variety of reasons other than the obvious ones, but I'm not convinced this new dude is much better yet. Obviously, a little bit of a language gap, but there's still some concern. Will Tom Wolf be able to turn PA around? And basically do what former Governor Tom Corbett could not. Then we have Tom Wolf is stunned. Democrat Tom Wolf, or they said Tim Wolf, a minor error there, wins Pennsylvania's governor race, defeating incumbent Republican Tom Corbett. Now, Corbett was down by 13 points and then even 15 points at one point, and double digits come election day. That has never happened in the history of PA governor race before. Wolf boosted his campaign with $10 million of his own money, outspending incumbent Tom Corbett on TV ads. Maybe that's a reason that Tom Wolf did win, spending more money on ads. And again, reiterating what I said before, his use of social media, he definitely increased with that, using Twitter, tweeting back his followers, things like that. Let's see, NBC calls the PA governor race. Once again, we knew that. That was about an hour ago. We're getting into some old stuff here. 1 hour before the polls closed. Obviously, they have closed now. Let's see if Wolf has not tweeted anything in the last couple minutes. And fresh start, let's see if his new Twitter or his hashtag, nope, not really much with that. So let's see. What can you vote Wolf? I hope you all voted for Wolf. Time for a change. Vote Wolf. Lots of American flags showing some patriotism. Voted Deuces Corbett. I'm excited about voting for Wolf PA. And so let's hear what the desk has to say.
All right, thanks again, Delaney. Now we're going to go back with Haley Sawyer at Tom Wolf's campaign headquarters. Haley, what's going on down there?
Hi, Haley Sawyer here once again, and right now I am with Lauren and Shanti, who are both high school seniors, and they're with the Young Democrats of Allegheny County. So tell me, girls, how excited are you that Tom Wolf won the election?
Very excited. I think this gives us a great future to look forward to now here in Pennsylvania.
What were some of the reasons you voted for him in the first
Right now I'm actually 17, so I wasn't able to vote. However, in our mock election at school, I did, based on his education policies. Another thing that I know impacted me as a young student. What about you, John?
Well, I just feel like Corbett just didn't do as well as his job as he should have, and I think it's a fresh start, and I like that he comes from he's like a small business owner. He seems to know what he wants to get accomplished.
So even though you guys aren't old enough to vote, do you find yourself pushing other people to vote?
Definitely. Every one of my friends for their 18th birthday gave my voter registration. Not so many, filled them out, but it was a nice offer.
So why do you think it's so important for young voters to be involved in elections, especially the midterm elections like the ones that just happened tonight?
I think in the midterm elections, a lot of people who end up winning and taking office, they have a lot to do with what happens to us locally. And as young people, as we grow up, it's our future. We're going to have to start consequences of who we elect. So it's all going to matter as we grow up.
I feel like there's just not enough emphasis on young people. Just most of the politicians don't really focus their attention on young people's issues just because they don't usually vote. So I feel like if more young people got involved, then politicians would actually focus on what young people want. And also because a lot of people criticize what goes on in the government. If you're not doing anything to contribute to them,
well, hopefully there's more people around like you in the near future. And thank you, ladies, for taking some time to talk with us. And we're going to take it back to the desk.
We apologize for the technical difficulties. If you're just joining us, this just in, Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. And if you were with us earlier here, here's a look at the new governor of the state and the plans he has for Pennsylvania.
If we want to build a strong economy, a strong society, a strong Pennsylvania, fairness has to be at the center of that. Inclusion has to be at the center of that. Hope and trust, those things that actually make human
Tom Wolf is doing something very few politicians can manage. He's taking down the incumbent. Wolf has built up a positive rapport with voters early in the campaign to accomplish this.
He was running ads in Pennsylvania very, very early that got him a dramatic lead in the polls that he kept throughout the whole primary race. And he was able to introduce himself to all voters with those ads.
One topic Wolf constantly returns to is the idea of an extraction tax.
So the Corbett administration put an impact fee, which was a tax on new oil wells, and it would go to localities. And the Wolf campaign is saying that's not enough. We need to have a 5% gas extraction tax with money that would go to the state, and that can be used to fund these things, this shortfall.
Another favorite issue of Wolf's is education.
Because I can stand up and say, you know, education is not an elective thing. Public education is something we need to support because that's how we get to a good society.
Wolf is a wealthy, well-educated businessman, but that's not the image he's created. His website emphasizes down-to-earth characteristics such as his community service, how he drives a Jeep, and how he's worked as a forklift operator.
Well, I wasn't trying to do any. My first effort to connect with the voters was my story. And I just said who I am. I do live in the same house I came home to from the hospital. I make that up. I live in a small town in York County, and I make that up. I drive a Jeep. That's what I do. I distribute or share 20 to 30% of my net profit with my employees in my company. That's what I do. People, I think they like that.
He's basically a patrician, which is such an interesting dynamic because he's a Democrat, so you've got a businessman running as a Democrat, and kind of the Republican trying to attack him with a lot of the same kind of attacks that Democrats typically level on Republicans. So I think that's created like cognitive dissonance with the voters a little bit, and helped Wolf because he can rely on that experience as a businessman.
Whether Wolf is elected or not, the situation in Pennsylvania will be tough sledding.
I know what they're going to have to do, which is struggle to put a budget together. It's going to be a struggle. You don't get that sense reading the campaign materials or watching the campaign ads, but that's the reality.
Wolf has been leading in the polls throughout his campaign and is expected to win the election. For RMU Sentry Media, I'm Haley Sawyer.
Thanks again, Haley. Now we're going to go live with Vince Russo at former Governor Tom Corbett's headquarters.
Hi guys, I'm still here down at the Omni William Penn Hotel in downtown Pittsburgh. Tom Corbett to be speaking very, very soon in reaction to what many of news sources around, including RMU Sentry Media, saying that Tom Wolf has taken it. A lot of people here still clinging to hope, hoping that Tom Corbett will pull this one out. But his wife, Susan, came out just a little bit ago saying, quote, "We don't worry about these things at 8:20, and that Corbett has come back from deficits before. So more to come, but Tom Corbett to be speaking momentarily. From the Omni William Penn Hotel, Vince Russo, Society of Collegiate Journalists.
Thank you, Vince. We'll come back and check with you later at former Governor Tom Corbett's camp. Of course, now Tom Wolf, the new governor of Pennsylvania. Lots of Toms here today.
I know.
It's kind of been a little bit of a pain, but I have to say, Corbett, he did what he could in his 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think he made some wrong decisions here along the lines that people didn't like, and I think that's sort of where he had his downfall with the people, especially with, I feel education was one of his biggest, because I remember everybody just kept on talking about the cuts in education.
Well, we'll continue to look at it, but first we're going to go to a package here on former Governor Tom Corbett.
As we trek ever closer to the results that will show our Commonwealth's next governor, here are some things that should be expected not only by local public schools such as Moon Area School District, but by all Pennsylvanians if incumbent candidate and Republican Tom Corbett is able to hold on to his position and earn a second term by beating his challenger Democrat Tom Wolf. To start, Corbett has been adamant about the need for pension plan reform in the Commonwealth throughout his campaign, as the $47 million debt greatly outweighs the assets of the current plans. With this number in danger of growing to $65 million within the next 5 years, Governor Corbett supports the Tobash Kampf Plan, which is designed to potentially save taxpayers $11 to $15 billion over the next 30 years. New employees will have their first $50,000 in annual earnings calculated for the retirement purposes.
It's going to allow the people to continue who get the impact fee, the 230 million average. It's going to allow them It doesn't work that way. It exceeds it. The spending that we've gone through, and if you go through his plan and go through what he said, in order to replace the $1 billion that the Rendell administration cut, in order to give universal pre-K to the people of Pennsylvania, in order to take education funding across the state to 50%, that's about $5.5 billion right there. Yes, I mean, at some point in time, the people of Pennsylvania, before they go walking in the voting booth.
Although the polls currently show Tom Corbett at quite a disadvantage, it's up to the voters to determine who will be in office for the next 4 years. I'm Vince Russo reporting for the Society of Collegiate Journalists.
Welcome back. Now, thank you again, Vince. So now, Corbett, what do you think sort of went wrong there with education?
Well, you brought it up earlier. It's education. I mean, he cut almost $1 billion from the education fund in an effort to save money for the state. And for Pennsylvania right now, if you look at the USA News 2014 Best High School Rankings, PA only sits in 28th out of the 50 states of the United States, and they only have 8.3% of schools receiving a gold or silver medal. So that is basically the best, the creme de la creme of high schools.
Yeah.
So I think if you're able to try and put more money back into the high school systems and try and grow those, I think you're going to see that go higher. And I think, as you said, that's on Wolf's agenda of things to do, and it'll be something that will be huge in his 4 years here as governor.
Yeah, I know something that Corbett always said about whenever he was debating with Wolf or any other time, that the cuts were not made during his administration, but during Ed Rendell's. But the thing was that Wolf kept on coming at him with, they were put in place by him during his administration. So Wolf would always come back saying he's not taking responsibility for those cuts. And I think that was also another big thing with voters today.
Yeah, I think if, you can say you're not taking those cuts, but you did sign them in.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's not going to look at Rendell because he didn't sign them in. You
Yes.
signed them in. So the public will look at that as, hey, this is what you did in reality, even though in reality it's, Rendell's package.
Yeah, he would have had the choice whenever he came back in to be, hey, you know what? I think I want to change that and maybe not do that. But he also saying that he's grown back that money by $1.5 billion during his time.
Yes.
So
Time will tell, correct?
it will.
Well, that'll do it for us. For right now, we'll go to a break and come back and bring you more coverage. Breaking news if you've just joined us. Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. We'll be right back.
I thought that was okay.
G morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblums, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the art!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
You ever think about buying a bigger place? Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy. There is no credit fairy. How else will I get a better credit score? Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it. No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Yes, ready, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
So, Dante, tell us a little bit more. What are your opinions on Tom Wolf?
I think he brings a lot of promise to Pennsylvania. Everyone here, it seems like, was just not very happy with what Corbett was doing. And to get a fresh set of eyes now on the state as a whole, I think will be huge going forward.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be bringing in a lot of changes. There was a lot of issues that people wanted to see changed. I know education, as we've talked about before, has been a really big one, and the Marcellus Shale. The equity tax, I know, has been a really big debate between those two. He wants to see that changed. And another big thing is marijuana, too, because he is all for bringing that in for medical uses.
Yes, of course, that's one of the hot topics all over the country and, of course, in Philadelphia. But first, Hannah was lucky enough to go to the final debate between Tom Corbett and Tom Wolf, which was held here in Pittsburgh.
We're here at WTAE Studios for the live debate between gubernatorial candidates, Democrat Tom Wolf and Governor Tom Corbett. They're here in Pittsburgh answering questions about the future state of Pennsylvania.
Equity tax was the first topic of the night, with Corbett saying that this was an issue that both candidates can agree upon. On average across Pennsylvania, women make 77 cents to the dollar that a man does. As governor, Wolf said he would do his best to see that bills are passed to change that gap, with Corbett saying his administration is already working on changing this matter. With education easily being one of the biggest factors on Election Day, the two candidates shared their views on the topic. $1 billion have been cut from the education system, but Corbett stressed that those cuts were made during the Ed Rendell administration and said that his has already worked to grow back that money for the budget. Wolf then retaliated, saying that Corbett wouldn't take responsibility for the cuts and to look at the public schools' current conditions if voters did not believe the numbers. Across the country, several states have made marijuana legal for medical or recreational use. Wolf believes that it should be legalized immediately for medical reasons. While neither supports the drug for recreational use, Corbett believes that marijuana is a gateway drug to others and that it would not only fuel the drug problem in Pennsylvania, but across the country as well.
Even though both candidates had great things to say, I guess we'll just have to see how the polls turn out on November 4th. I'm Hannah Smith, RMU Sentry Media.
Thank you, Hannah. Well done.
Oh, thank you. That was a lot of fun.
I'm sure we will we'll get a chance to pick your brain about that a little bit later.
Yes, but first we will be going to the nation's capital live with Leah Fleischel.
Hey, Dante and Hannah and everybody at RMU Sentry Media. I'm here live in Virginia at the Mark Warner for Senator Watch Party. There are hundreds of people right here right now. I actually had to step outside of the ballroom so that I could talk to you guys. It's a huge race right now. All the major news networks are here. And it's especially a big contest because, you know, the fact that Warner is a Democrat who's the incumbent and he's facing a Republican who's creeping up on the lead and is actually ahead in the polls right now. Now, up until a couple weeks ago, Warner had the clear lead, but due to negative campaign ads simply stating that he supports President Obama, those have severely harmed him, and that's a big trend for Democrats across the country. President Obama on their side is not necessarily a good thing. So the race has been deemed too close to call here, and I will continue to update you guys as the evening goes along. Like I said, all the major news networks are here. This is going to be a big vote because the Republicans only need 3 more seats in the Senate to take control. Meanwhile, while I'm here in Virginia, I'm going to show you guys what I did in D.C. earlier today. We were out at the polls and talking to people about what issues they cared about. Check it out.
In this year's midterm election, what you're voting for can be just as important as who. From the definition of personhood to legalization of marijuana to raising the minimum wage, a lot of controversial and emotional issues are up for decision today. 146 statewide ballot questions are being voted on today in 42 different states. While the number is the lowest it's been since 1988, voters are getting say on some of the biggest hot-button topics in the nation. Alaska, Arkansas, Nebraska, and South Dakota voters will be deciding on raising the minimum wage, while voters in Oregon, Alaska, and the District of Columbia will be voting on the legalization of marijuana. Though only some states are directly deciding on these issues today, recent campaigns such as Rock the Vote's viral Turnout for What video has citizens everywhere talking about the issues that are bringing them to the polls.
It's incredibly hard to find affordable housing, not just for
for a larger section than I think gets talked about. It's a larger issue that needs to be addressed, particularly as we look at transportation and how that impacts our environment and what cities do for us and don't do for us. So affordable housing is something that is definitely been front on my mind with this election.
What motivated me to vote today in the local election was issues of kind of government accountability and competence. Make my voice heard about the way that the city's running right now versus the way it should.
Reporting from Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., I'm Leah Fleischel, RMU Sentry Media.
Thank you, Lee. I'm sure we'll be checking back in with you later in the nation's capital.
Yes, but first, let's find out what is trending about these two candidates.
Welcome back, guys. Once again, I'm Delaney Hassel, your RMU, I guess, social media outlet for tonight. So instead of going what's trending, we're going to talk about something interesting that Facebook did. So to make people go to the polls or get people more interested, when you logged onto Facebook, as you can see, I am here, but obviously it's not here because the polls have closed, but up at the top of your homepage was an interesting icon. It said, it's election day. And underneath that, it gave a little explanation, and there was one button that actually said, I'm a voter. And you could click that button, or you could click another button that said more information. Now, if you clicked the I am a voter button, this allows you to post allowed you to post a status saying maybe what you voted for, or yeah, I'm voting, things like that. And you could also tag where you were voting from anywhere in Pennsylvania. You say you were voting in Tom Wolf's hometown of York, things like that. And then the other button was the more information icon. And if you clicked on that, you could type in a city, you could type in an area code, or you could type in a zip code, and this would give you a place in your area where you could go and vote. Now, Facebook probably did this to get people to vote, especially college kids. Kids aren't voting these days. Why is that? I think we have something coming up later in this evening to tell us why. But as you can see, Facebook is really trying to get kids to go out and vote. So that's very interesting. Now, if we go back, obviously Tom Wolf is the 47th governor of Pennsylvania now. We can look and see what he's been tweeting. Again, anticipation and a building for the appearance of Tom Wolf. Look at that. Oh, there he is. See on the screen right there. It's exciting stuff. And a packed house for Wolf headquarters. Here's a different angle. Look at all that. Looks like a panoramic photo. All these people there to support Tom Wolf, and as he has now become our new governor. Let's see if his hashtag has had anything. Or here, PA politics, government econ, presumptive governor-elect Tom Wolf will be addressing supporters soon. That's 1 minute ago. Hopefully we'll be checking in later and seeing what he has said. Let's see. Why don't we check Vote Wolf things. I hope you all voted for Wolf. Things that we've been seeing, again, just happiness. Vote Corbett has not been getting much detail. Let's see. Governor Tom Corbett still has not tweeted anything. No congratulations, no thanking Pennsylvania voters, anything like that, which once again proves the point that maybe Tom Wolf did win this election because of Tom Corbett's lack of social media. Let's see. Fresh start for Wolf. Once again, yes, Governor Corbett looking forward to this fresh start for PA, election 2014. Slogan states, fresh start in PA, CNRN is already reporting. So that's all I have for you guys right now. Be sure to check back in, and now back over to the desk.
All right, thank you, Delaney, for that interesting stuff.
Yes, and this coming in out of CNN, the Republicans will keep, according to the projections rather, the Republicans will look like to be able to keep control of the House of Representatives. So you look a little wider than the state of Pennsylvania there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then coming back on the break, don't go anywhere. We will keep you covered here on all the happenings as Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. Stay tuned.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer.
Okay.
what they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
People don't realize how quickly you can end up on the street. One thing happens in your life, medical bills you can't pay, lose your job, and that's it.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
We went to DC to work with the homeless. They sell a newspaper called Street Sense. Thought I'd help.
But if you want to give more, you can.
This person came up to me and said, get a job. And for 2 hours, I felt what it was like to be homeless.
Good morning. $1 help.
Some of the other students said, how can we change this? And I said, sometimes you can't change the world, but you may be able to change one person's world. My dream, open a psych clinic for people on the street.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
Tom Wolf, elected new governor, came in about 45 minutes ago, projections, but it's official. The man from York, PA did it.
Yes, he did. And it's coming in over 60% has voted for him right now.
Yeah, so as we talked about earlier, it seemed like this was a foregone conclusion a few months ago that Wolf will go in, be governor, and now it's just the official. And of course, he won it in what seems like a pretty heavy landslide.
Yes. I mean, I still, as we've said before, this was definitely something that everyone was predicting. Whenever polls closed, AP, everyone, the big headline newses were just releasing that it's projected Tom Wolf.
And of course, here we are now, another governor here for the state of Pennsylvania.
I know, 47th.
Can you believe it?
I can't.
That's a lot of governors.
It does. Just wait till we get to the 50th.
Yeah, really.
Now
Tom Wolf, we're ready again. Tom Wolf, the new governor, lots of issues that he's been covering. We talked about education a little bit earlier, and now we have a few moments to pick your brain about the pit debate, which you were at earlier.
Yes.
What was your overall impression of both candidates?
During the debate, I feel like they both had heads up on each other. These two were definitely entertaining to watch. I mean, they would always have some type of backfire. In the beginning, they opened with the equity tax, and actually Corbett opened with that, and he's like, you know, this is something we can actually both agree on. So that was just one of those things where you can definitely feel there's tension between the two whenever they're debating. I absolutely loved watching them, and they brought every kind of issue you could imagine to the table. I mean, they talked about marijuana, equity taxes, the Marcellus Shale. I mean, stuff you wouldn't, they just touched on everything. It was a really entertaining debate.
Were there any specific things you were looking at?
I really looked at what they said about education, because that is one of the biggest issues, as we've said. Then I also really paid attention to the equity tax, because I feel like that's something that everyone's really interested in. It's also a national issue that has been debated too, but it's something that they both wanted to change. They want to even out that gap so that women make just as much as men in whatever job it is.
Meanwhile, another hot issue in the state is the use of medical marijuana. Tom Corbett opposes the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana, along with opposing the sale of marijuana for recreational use. Along with that, Corbett has proposed a bill that will use a marijuana oil extract in what is called a limited marijuana plan, which would include the treatment of seizure-prone children.
Now, unlike Corbett, Wolf would sign a bill passing the legalization of medical marijuana for a wider range of medical uses. He supports decriminalization possession of less than 1 ounce of the drug. Now, as for legalizing it for recreational use, Wolf wants to study the experience other states have before legalizing it for sale here in Pennsylvania. Now, there's been a lot of studies done and everything too. I think that's Corbett. That was something that they said in the debate, that he does support studies done for that, but he is definitely against it for recreational use. That was hands down. But Wolf definitely wants to see it passed as soon as possible for medical use.
Yes, absolutely. It's something I think that could be a huge factor in the medical field. Obviously, lots of studies that have been going on that, have been helping prove that it's good to help people that need it.
Yes.
Also, if you look at the same tone, states that have legalized it for recreational use, it opens up a new avenue of revenue for the state. And this is Pennsylvania's a state, the last couple of years that has had issues trying to get revenue and trying to keep that budget up. So obviously, it's something that you consider. I think down the road, it's going to be an issue that's going to take a long time, obviously.
Yes. And now Philly has officially passed a law saying that marijuana can be decriminalized there with less than 30 grams or less. So no more than that, and you will get a $25 fine.
And a citation.
Yes, if you are caught with it. And then you get a $100 fine if you're caught publicly smoking.
And right now we'll throw back to Delaney Hassel. Delaney, anything new going on in the Twitter sphere?
Well, guys, as I said before, Tom Corbett has not been tweeting. I've been trying to refresh this, and he's still not tweeting. But this could be due to the fact that he could be getting ready for his concession speech. Hopefully, we will have more on that later. Now to more on Corbett. He was really feeling the heat in this election from being down in record points in the polls, but that wasn't always the case. Back when Corbett was trailing by 15 points, he photoshopped an African-American woman into a campaign photo. The image was a stock image taken from a website called Shutterstock. It was also flipped, tinted, and cut. So there has been a lot of hype about this, lots of articles written about it, and let's check out what people are saying about it. It was really interesting. I saw it on Facebook. It was on Facebook, Twitter, lots of different things that he had photoshopped this woman. And Corbett has had a lot of trouble with minorities in the past, especially with African Americans, Latinos, things like that. So here, Tom Corbett Photoshop. We had a tweet from 26 minutes ago saying someone should Photoshop Tom Wolf into one of his photos. Then there's an article on it, Corbett campaign photoshopped him next to a black woman. And then Stephen at Home explains Governor Tom Corbett probably should change his Twitter handle soon because he's no longer the governor of Pennsylvania. His campaign website, Photoshop, dust up. They're pretending anyone likes him. Obviously, this could have had an effect on his result from the polls. Obviously, he did not get reelected. So that's kind of a touchy situation, how maybe this could be due to the fact that he did Photoshop and pretend that somebody was in a photo with him. Let's see, some people are saying, give him a break. Tom Corbett wasn't trying to pretend that a black woman liked him. He was just trying to pretend. We can see if this would load, see what they were saying on, looks like it'll be on Facebook. It's not really loading. Oh, there it went. So it said, just another article led to an article about, Corbett. So let's see, we can go back to this. So just from 6 days ago, just a lot of people talking about it, things like that. So now we can go back to, again, he's still not tweeting anything, still has not changed his Twitter handle, which still says Governor Corbett. Now Wolf for PA, 3 minutes ago, Senator Bob Casey Jr. is on stage now. It said, it's a beautiful day for a fresh start for Pennsylvania, again, using his hashtag. We'll take one quick glance at this. And there's Senator Bob Casey Jr. And now we'll go back to the desk and hear what's coming up tonight.
Delaney, always helpful with the insight of social media.
Yes. Now we are going to be going live to Haley Sawyer with Tom Wolf's campaign headquarters.
Hi, I'm Haley Sawyer here in downtown Southside at the JATC Union Hall, where there is a party going on because Tom Wolf has officially won this year's gubernatorial election, which is pretty crazy because it's really unusual for a brand new politician such as Wolf himself to come in and take down the incumbent. Now we're going to see a lot of changes coming up in this year, whether it's education or the extraction tax that he's real big on. So it'll be really interesting to see how things work out here. We'll be with you later on tonight to talk with all sorts of people, young, old, girls, guys, you name it, we'll be talking to them. I'm Haley Sawyer, RMU Sentry Media.
And And thank you, Haley, for that insight. And of course, if you're just joining us, Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. We'll come back and bring you more details on that. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer.
Okay.
What they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
Of course, I am here with Romo. How are you doing today, Romo? Great. All right, so Romo, just a few questions. How do you think the game is going right now for the Colonials? All right, on top of that, like, what do you think about the play of Paul Jones and his defense just demolishing Morgan State right now? All right, well, you heard it here first. Romo with his insight to the game. Back to you guys.
Be sure to tune in to Colonial Sports Center every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on ArmySentryMedia.com and Channel 98 around the Moon Township area.
And welcome back to the live coverage of the midterm elections. Dante Verme, Hannah Smith. Breaking news, if you haven't heard, Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. This coming out a couple minutes ago. And, well, Pennsylvania has a new governor, and his name is Tom Wolf.
Yes. And now we are going to be going to Kristen Kudla with an interview with Jim Vincent.
Scenery of Shaler Township, before he moved on to private practice and then into the state. And a lot of people don't know that his wife is associated with the Carnegie Museum and has worked here in Pittsburgh. So for a variety of reasons, Corbett is running anywhere from 15 to 20% below Wolf. I'm not a Tom Corbett fan. Part of those reasons are personal. I teach online, and Corbett was involved with Rick Trombetta and the PA Cyber School, which began as an immensely interesting experiment in online and alternative education, something that our school system dearly needs.
With the education system, there's going to be a discussion of a tax. How do you believe that's going to play into effect with the races?
Here's an issue that's kind of close to my heart, and that is higher education. There are 83 colleges and universities in Pennsylvania. There are probably 7 colleges and universities in this area that are all offering education degrees. The time has come for some leadership in higher education. Clearly, we're going to have to consolidate some of these institutions. So. I'm looking for leadership, and some Secretary of Education is going to have to take the bull by the horns. Mm-hmm. Let me say a word about Tom Wolf. From York, PA, family business, smart guy, Peace Corps, good lawyer, but the people I know on the inside of the Democratic Party like him. They like him a lot, but they're not in love with him. Mm-hmm. And I think this race between Corbett and Wolf is a race between two. I wish there was somebody else running, and it'll be interesting to see. What happens. Pennsylvania is an incredibly important state. It's the 14th state to join the United States. It is the Keystone State. Philadelphia was a early capital, and Pennsylvania has lost its leadership position through corruption or near corruption of certain state officials.
Okay, Jim, well, thank you so much for helping me out today. We'll have to see how the election unfolds, but for now, I'm Kristen Kohler reporting from the library in the Nicholson Center here on the campus of Robert Morris University at CJ Election Night.
And thank you, Kristen. Of course, always thank you to Mr. Vincent. He brings his opinion with a little bit of spice.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
All right. So right now, our map is definitely blowing up right now, all blue, basically, other than 2 counties. And Tom Wolf is coming in with 60.26% right now with everybody voting. But let's go to Leah Fleischel live in the Capitol.
Thanks again, guys. It's good to be back on the air. I'm reporting live again from the Mark Warner Watch Party in Arlington, Virginia. And right now, the votes are pretty close. Last numbers I saw were 51-49, not in the favor of Warner. But we still have Fairfax County to come in here, which in the past has definitely caused upstates for the state of Virginia and is expected to again. Like I said, a lot of people are expecting Warner to narrowly pull out with a victory in this one, though it's definitely going to be close. Now, what this would mean for the Republicans, it wouldn't mean too much to have a victory besides kicking another Democrat out of their current seat. However, it would be a pretty big win for the Democrats. Would Warner stay in? And it also not only...
Look at that. We got the Erie Reader on there. Vote Wolf. I hope you all voted for Wolf. Still going strong with all of these hashtags. Let's see. Fresh Start Wolf. Waiting to see Tom Wolf, Fresh Start. Another Instagram post. The popularity is still growing. Yay, Governor Tom Wolf. Looking forward to seeing this Fresh Start for PA. Looking great. Lots of good stuff here. Again, keeping up with just a bunch of the other ones. Let's see, Stronger PA. This was Corbett's hashtag. Again, not a lot of things tweeted about it. He didn't seem to get that out enough because he wasn't tweeting. Stronger PA is what we need. He's got, looks like, 5 tweets there, and 2 of them were his. He really didn't get his own hashtag out there. Let's see. Oh, PA Politics. Wayne County votes coming in. Corbett up 2,987 to Wolf's 2,629. So it looks like Corbett was winning in Wayne County. So let's see here. Vote Wolf, still anything. Let's check Instagram again, seeing all those selfies. Gotta love them. See, this girl has it on her nose. Gotta love having them in creative places. Keep going down. Voting is so important. All right, looks good. Loving all those selfies. Let's take it back over to the desk.
All right, thank you so much, Delaney.
Yeah, thank you.
That was an enjoyable pictures.
Yes, it was. Now we will go to Vince Russo at the camp of former Governor Tom Corbett.
Hey guys, Tom Corbett has yet to step out, but he should be out here any minute, any second, about to give his speech confirming that Tom Wolf has won the state. The Associated Press and many news sources alongside it have already confirmed this, but as we said, Tom Corbett about to come out literally any second. Twitter keeps saying that it's within 15 minutes. He still has yet to pop out, but when he does, we will get some of his footage from his speech and report it right back to you guys. So back up to you guys in studio.
Thank you, Vince. It's been a busy night here so far, and well, it's going to keep getting busier.
Yes. Now we are going to go with Kristen Oh, never mind.
We'll get there in a minute. But
yes,
going back to Delaney, I think it's very interesting if you look at it, how social media is playing such a big factor nowadays in terms of, well, everything in general, but especially politics.
I agree. They've had to I feel like they have to stay connected with the voters and keep pushing, and that's the way they do their campaigning and staying connected.
I think it's also that, and also if you look at it, I think it's also you want to try and get your younger demographic too. A lot of younger people nowadays, everybody uses social media. Everybody knows what Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Vine. Reddit, all that stuff
Yeah.
is. I think it's very important to try and get with your voters down there, especially at the social media level.
I agree. I just think it's this day and age, social media just plays, as you said, a big part in everything. And I mean, you basically don't know a person who doesn't have some form of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So I think this is a really good tool that they can use.
Definitely. And now we will throw to Kristen Kudla, who is over just down the way at Romo's.
Thanks, guys. I'm here in Romos on the campus of Robert Morris University with 3 RMU students. Guys, what's your names?
I'm Michelle. I'm Amanda. I'm Tori.
Did you guys vote today?
No. No. No.
Were there any particular reasons on why you didn't?
Just didn't have time. I'm not registered in Moon Township. I didn't have time either.
Now, you said that that you weren't registered. Is there any reason why you didn't do an absentee ballot back home or do something along those lines?
I just didn't have time to get home, and I didn't make the deadline to register here. Didn't really have time.
Now, time seems to be the factor for all 3 of you why you didn't vote. Do you think that's a very important thing about why a lot of the millennials or the student body here at Robert Morris haven't really gone out and had their voice heard in this election?
Yeah, I would say that we have a lot of other things to balance, and we just didn't make time for that.
Well, Tom Wolf, is the official new governor of Pennsylvania. How do you think that he's going to go forward with the as his position as governor?
I felt that he had really good views as far as education, and that's who I probably would have voted for.
Yeah, same. Because I want to be an English teacher when I'm older, so I like his views on education.
Well, it seems like education seems to be the hot topic for this election. How important do you think that played a role in picking the Pennsylvania state governor?
I think it was pretty important, especially because we're college students, so it would affect us directly.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. And good luck. Have a great night. You too. Well, reporting here live at Romo's here on the campus of Robert Morris University. That's it for me. I'm Kristen Kudla, SCJ election coverage. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kristen. It's nice to see the student body here being out there, getting a chance to find it in their day with classes and other things to get out there and get to the polls.
Yeah. So now going back, we have about 55% of the ballots have been counted, and coming in with that, 59% is Wolf, and Corbett is 41.
So it's getting up there. I believe earlier, about 20 minutes ago, it was 62-39.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So it's getting a little more even, but as we said, it seems like Tom Wolf is still going to be the new governor for the Keystone State.
Yes.
So big news.
We have 5 counties now that are turning red on the map. So it was a lot more because at first, whenever we first opened it up, it was all blue. So those 5 are definitely making a little bit of a mark. Look a little spotted.
Now we will go to Ian Kidd, who is just down the road in Moon, trying to find out what the Moon residents think about the 2 candidates.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ian Kidd, and I'm reporting here for RMU Sentry Media outside the Moon Township High School, where we are covering the local aspect of this year's 2014 midterm elections.
And Frank, why do you think it's a big deal? Clearly, if you could tell a little bit about your story, you've been here for a very long time doing this.
Very long time. I'm a Republican committee man for the Moon Township Republican Committee, and District 1, which encompasses Robert Morris, is my district. I've served since 1996, I believe, on the committee, so I'm out here spring and fall every year. Different weather, rain, snow, sleet, and a nice night like tonight.
So why do you do this? Why is it such an issue? You've been doing this for almost 20 years. Why are you in here day in and day out, year in and year out?
It's just very important for people to participate in something as important as their government. And when you talk with people that come to the polls, you hear the issues that concern them, and the way that they are addressed is through the political process. People complain, but the only way it's going to be corrected or fixed is through the ballot, and that's why we're here today.
Thank you very much. And Mr. McCauley, why do you think it's such an important issue to vote?
Well, it's a privilege, that very few people around the world have, and a lot of people have sacrificed a lot for us to have that privilege to come and vote. And I'm always disappointed at the local turnouts. I think people realize they want to complain about things and issues in society and government, yet they don't come to the ballot box to cast a ballot to try to change things. So I think it's important that we do that.
Specifically, young people in the 18 to 24 range very much don't vote at all. Why do you think that is, and why do you think that's an issue?
Well, I think at that age, you've got a lot of things going on in your life. You're in school, maybe you can't get back to vote, so maybe it's a little more difficult then. But I think there are provisions made that you can cast an absentee ballot if you'd like. Why young people don't see it's important, I never really understood why. That's the most, that's the group that should be speaking out, because you're going to be the leaders of the future. The future is going to be yours. So why not start crafting it now, rather than sitting back and letting say, well, it doesn't count, doesn't matter.
Well, okay, Mr. Nelson, why do you think it's an important issue to vote?
I just think it's important to participate in the democratic process and elect the people that you think will best support your opinions on various issues. I think it's especially true for young people. Here in this district, we don't see a lot of young people.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's a lack of interest or just dissatisfaction with the system. I'm not sure I totally know the answer to that. But we encourage the young people to come here. And of course, being in District 1, we get a lot of Robert Morris College students, especially during the presidential elections.
So in this midterm state election, what do you think between potential Governor Wolf and Governor Corbett, what do you think is the most important issue and that should be talked about most, that maybe isn't being spoken about?
I think the issue of taxing or is obtaining fees from the shale gas companies, I think that is an important issue that should be stressed and discussed. It's a potential source of income for the state, which obviously needs it. I think to me, that's the number one issue. I don't know about the general opinion of the public is, but that's the number one issue.
Local turnout was strong in a traditionally weak midterm election. Both candidates receiving much support in the area. Reporting outside Moon Township High School, I'm Ian Kidd for RMU Sentry Media.
All right, thank you very much, Ian. Now, it was really good to see people going out today and voting. It really shows something.
What's nice about today is that the weather's gorgeous. You look at the weekend, it was like snow. It was getting close to snowing and like 35 degrees. So obviously it's very nice to see that people go out to vote.
Yes, very much.
Well, that'll do it for us.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us here. But the coverage will continue. Don't go anywhere, as we will give you full depth analysis on everything you need to know about the new governor, Tom Wolf. If you haven't heard earlier, Tom Wolf is the new governor of Pennsylvania. Dante Verme, Hannah Smith. Don't go anywhere. John Fisher and Eddie Sheehy will be up next.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer.
Okay.
What they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
People don't realize how quickly you can end up on the street. One thing happens in your life, medical bills you can't pay, lose your job, and that's it.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
We went to DC to work with the homeless. They sell a newspaper called Street Sets. Thought I'd help. This person came up to me and said, "Get a job." And for 2 hours, I felt what it was like to be homeless.
Good morning. $1 help.
Some of the other students said, "How can we change this?" And I said, "Sometimes you can't change the world, but you may be able to change one person's world." My dream? Open a psych clinic for people on the street.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
G morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Franz!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you. Bobby? Susie? Don't worry, that's just the power of the art!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
You ever think about buying a bigger place?
Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy.
There is no credit fairy.
How else will I get a better credit score?
Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it.
No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Yes, ready, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
And welcome back to Robert Morris University's 2-hour live coverage of the 2014 gubernatorial election presented by the Society of Collegiate Journalists. Live from the Academic Media Center, I am John Fisher.
And I am Eddie Sheehy. In this hour, we will be looking towards the future, not only of Pennsylvania, but the entire United States as election results continue to come in.
And it's been changing all night long, and if you've been under a rock for the last hour, or rather hour and a half, you do have a new governor-elect. He's going to be sworn in January in Harrisburg, but for now, Tom Wolf will be the new governor of Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
And that's not only, you know what? That's not the consistent trend that's going on in the United States.
No.
Pennsylvania's blue, but other places are red.
Right. Throughout the rest of the United States, we're consistently seeing a lot of Republican governors coming in. And that's also not only the trend for Pennsylvania. While the entire state looks blue, when you look at our governor, when you look at the House races and the Senate races, you will see a majority of districts going red.
Now, there are a lot of sources you guys can use. One could be the Huffington Post. Go to HuffingtonPost.com. You can also go to CNN.com and even the Associated Press. But, Eddie, which one do you choose before we go to Haley Sawyer on the South Side at Tom Wolf headquarters? Who do you look at? What sources are you using?
Right now I'm using both the Associated Press, but really I'm using the Huffington Post right now. They're keeping up to date very fast. That's who I would check out.
Right before we go over to Haley right now, according to the Huffington Post, 46 Republicans in the Senate, 42 on the Democratic side, 11 spots are still up for grabs. Well, let's talk about one Democratic senator, governor, that is now will be elected. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited.
It's all right, John. It's all right. I know you're excited.
Let's go down to Haley Sawyer on the South Side at Tom Wolf headquarters. Haley.
Hi, I'm Haley Sawyer here right now with James Logue, a veteran and a voter. So tell me, James, how excited are you that Tom Wolf has won this election?
Well, I'm extremely excited.
Being that I'm a veteran, I realize that when your leadership fails you, you replace them, you reorganize, you regroup, and you get back out there and complete your mission. The state of Pennsylvania has been under failed leadership for the past 4 years, and I do believe that Tom Wolf is here to regroup, reorganize, put us back out there, back at the top.
Okay, well, thanks, James, for your thoughts.
Thank you.
I'm Haley Sawyer, RMU Sentry Media.
Thank you, Haley, for the update. We'll continue to track Tom Wolf's progress as the new governor of Pennsylvania throughout the night.
Now, before we go over to the social media desk, let's talk more national
Yes, absolutely.
updates.
Right now, there's a good chance, John, that Republicans will take over the Senate, which could have some large implications throughout the entire United States.
It's the race to 51, and you can use the
Absolutely.
hashtag on Twitter, election2014, for all of your election updates, especially RMU Sentry Media on Twitter and RMU Sentry Media on Facebook. We have all the updates for you. But Kansas is an interesting one of the key swing states. Ohio,
Absolutely.
Virginia.
Kansas for a long time was going independent, though now new reports are showing that they will in fact go Republican. Louisiana is another interesting one. It has been
there's
confirmed.
breaking news about 20 minutes ago.
Absolutely breaking news. It has been confirmed that Louisiana will have a runoff election decided December 6th.
Not only that, Kansas, to be specific, 49.6% Republican, 46% independent, and that's the only state in the United States that's close to an independent scene right now.
Absolutely. And then another one that we're going to be looking out for the rest of the night is Georgia. There's a chance for them to go to a runoff election as well.
And real quick, for the House update, 155 for the Republicans, 93 for the Democrats, still 187 spots up for grabs. So let's take a quick break, and let's go over to Delaney Hassel on the social media desk.
Hi guys, welcome back, the 10 o'clock hour. So as you can see, John and Eddie have been talking about the United States as a whole. We've talked a lot about PA, and we'll get back to that. But as you can see, this election 2014 hashtag has been blowing up. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was so confused. I thought my computer was malfunctioning or something. And then I realized that so many people are tweeting hashtag election 2014. Let's see if we can stop one of these. Let's see, what does this one say? The fact too that Greece 2 is trending in America probably tells you that you need to know all you need to know about voter turnout. Midterms 2014, election 2014. So obviously, Dan Spearin thinks that America isn't voting too much. We need to change that. All right, let's see. Let's try and grab another one. Down goes Brown, down goes Brown. Brown fails in second state Senate bid, election 2014. Oh, we'll get more on that. Let's see. And now Anthony Brown, last we heard he is in lead for the governor to become the governor of Maryland. And if he wins, he will be the first African-American governor in the state of Maryland and the third African-American governor in the United States. Great stuff. Let's see, we have Anthony Brown typed in his name here. We got saying it's very close. Anthony Brown is leading. We just had that right now, 45 seconds ago. Tell that to Mark Warner and Anthony Brown, Kay Hagan too. We've got some great stuff going on. We see, I hope Anthony Brown wins. A lot of interesting stuff that he would become the first African-American governor in Maryland. And then we also have the first woman senator was elected in West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito. Let's see, first woman senator. Congratulations to Rep. Shelley on being the first woman elected as a senator in the state of West Virginia. Lots of congratulations to her. Let's see if she's tweeted anything out. Let's see. 5 days ago was her last tweet. Obviously, she hasn't gotten the social media update. Okay, once again, as I have this up, do you see all this? It just hasn't stopped. Hashtag election 2014 is just being very prominent today. There, we just saw that picture of Tom Wolf, our own PA, is in the hashtag election 2014. It stops for a second, then just keeps going. Now, why don't we go and look back at Tom Wolf, since he is our new governor in our home state of PA, Wolford, PA. The crowd at the York Fairgrounds. Look at lots of those pictures back at the York Fairgrounds. Tom Wolf will go on stage. So Tom Wolf went on stage at about a good half hour ago, so maybe we'll have some updates on that later. Fresh start, his hashtag 15 minutes ago, new governor in PA, fresh start. Loving that. Let's check out this election 2014 again. Here we go. Let's see if we can stop a tweet here. Associated Press breaking. Democrat Gina Raimondo wins election as governor of Rhode Island. AP race call at 10:08 p.m. So breaking news literally a minute ago. We found that out. Great stuff. Let's see if we can stop another tweet. Just crazy stuff. Oh, it's getting hard to. Rep. Terry Sewell wins uncontested AL 07 election. Let's see. All right, again, we'll be keeping you updated with this election 2014. Now back to the desk.
Delaney, thank you so much. We just have breaking news right now from Fox News. Steve Daines picks up another seat for the Republicans in the Senate. And let's go over to Colorado. Cory Gardner now, Republican, up 50.95% to 43. Colorado is now called. So there's 2 more states for the Republican Party. And now, before we get to the Midwest, Kansas, the Republican Party now up 4% over the Independent instead of 3. So
Right.
it's keep on going higher for the red.
The Republicans are really dominating the landscape right now, and as we continue throughout the night, the Midwest is really starting to begin showing who they're voting for, and it is looking much of the same, more Republicans.
And we do have footage for you of Tom Corbett giving his conceding speech. Let's go over to it right now.
Just a few minutes ago, I called Tom Wolf, and I thanked him for a well-fought fight. I congratulated him on his victory, and I wished him well in the next 4 years. Campaigns tend to highlight the differences and distinctions between candidates, their personalities, their proposals, and their actions. We've had a very energetic campaign. He has prevailed, and I wish him the best, and would you please give him a round of applause.
That was Tom Corbett's concession speech. Now we have an update on the votes as the votes have been tallied. Right now, 68% of districts reporting in Pennsylvania, 57% for Tom Wolf and 42% for Tom Corbett. So the votes are narrowing in a little bit, about a 15% spread between the two.
And don't let it fool you, Tom Wolf is the governor-elect right now, but it's interesting to see the votes coming in for Tom Corbett slowly, mostly northwestern Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, once Philadelphia and Pittsburgh went blue, he had no chance. That was
the end of the race for Tom Corbett.
We're going to take a quick step away from your television screens or cell phone screens, whatever you're watching right now. We'll have more election coverage for you. We're going to get into some national coverage, some state Senate races, House races, and even some governor's topics between Tom Wolf and Tom Corbett. Since Wolf's going to be in, we'll see what his plans are. Coming up next, stay here on ArmyCentralMedia.com.
These boys are my heroes. They come every week to spend time with my children.
At Robert Morris University, every student is expected to reach out to others.
They can teach them something no one else can.
Wisconsin.
They're role models to the children, and homework comes way before sports. Their grades have improved, and their lives are just a bit richer.
Okay.
What they do for my kids is truly wonderful.
Change someone's life. It changes yours forever. Robert Morris University.
I call them my lifeline.
Of course, I am here with Romo. How are you doing today, Romo? Great. All right, so Romo, just a few questions. How do you think the game is going right now for the Colonials? All right, on top of that, what do you think about the play of Paul Jones and his defense just demolishing Morgan State right now? All right, well, you heard it here first. Romo with his insight to the game. Back to you guys.
Be sure to tune in to Colonial Sports Center every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on ArmyCentralMedia.com and Channel 98 around the Moon Township area. And welcome back to live election coverage from RMU Sentry Media and Society of Collegiate Journalists. Now, earlier we talked about Louisiana and Georgia going to a runoff.
Right.
Louisiana is, Georgia, not the case.
Absolutely. Louisiana, for sure, going to a runoff. That'll be decided December 6th. But Georgia being updated with 63% of their districts reporting. It looks like it's going to be the Republican Purdue with 63% of the vote.
And but real quick, before we go down to Vince Russo, downtown at the Omni William Penn, the Democrats right now have a lot of ground to gain, but it's not over yet. Right now, according to CNN.com, 46 for the Republicans, 42 for the Democrats. It's still the race to 51.
Absolutely.
There's still a lot of time. There is no sure winner yet to take control of the Senate. So right now, let's go down to Tom Corbett headquarters with our own Vince Russo.
Things are wrapping up here at the Omni William Penn Hotel in downtown Pittsburgh, as Tom Corbett has just given his speech admitting defeat to Tom Wolf, saying he called Tom Wolf, wished him the best of luck in the next 4 years. He then went on to give sort of a rally cry to those who had supported him throughout the years, thanking them for their service to him and letting them know that their efforts did not go down in vain throughout the last 4 years, and as he said, the last 10 or 11 years of his political campaigning in general. With that being said, Tom Corbett looks forward now to babysitting his grandchildren and moving on to further political endeavors. That's about it here from the Omni William Penn Hotel in downtown Pittsburgh. Vince Russo, SCJ. Back to you guys.
And Vince, thank you very much. It's a very tumultuous feeling at Tom Corbett headquarters. What do you make of that? I mean, he had no chance from the start. People knew it was going to get called at 8:30 2 weeks ago.
Right. Since July, however, I think something can be said for Tom Corbett. He didn't exactly make a comeback, but he was, in a lot of sense, he did make a comeback. Back in July, he was down more than 20%, and even as up to yesterday, he was still behind in double digits, but he did make ground for about 10%, which I think there is something that can be said there.
And right now we do have an update from our newsroom. Tom Wolf, 71.21% of the votes are in. 1.25 million, or 56.68%, are going to Wolf. 43% are going to Corbett, only down 13%. He was down over 30 about half an hour ago.
Just a little while ago. That's a lot of the, districts in the northern part of the state reporting, and they have a tendency to go more Republican.
That they do. And now let's go to our new governor-elect, Tom Wolf, as he made a speech at his headquarters. I'm sorry, I'm just getting in from our studio upstairs. We're going to go to his interview. That's our mistake. Hey, we're human, just like Tom Wolf is. Let's talk to him.
I think Pennsylvania deserves a brighter future. We ought to be looking ahead and saying, this ought to be a place that is a magnet for anybody who has any talent or skill and wants to get ahead. This is a place to come and take risks. This is a place full of opportunities. And too many people see Pennsylvania as just the reverse. And so over the last 4 years, I think Pennsylvania's future has dimmed. We have budget deficits that we didn't have 4 years ago. We've hollowed out the schools. The bridges, up until we had the transportation bill, were falling down. The roads were crumbling. We don't have a level playing field. Some people, depending on who you know, get tax breaks or special breaks, special contracts. The rest don't get the same thing. We don't have a level playing field. All those things, I think, make Pennsylvania a worse bet than it could be. If we change those things, invest in education, invest in our transportation system in a 21st century kind of way, and do it and then fund all these things fairly, and actually have a level playing field where everybody is playing by the same set of rules, I think Pennsylvania could have a really bright future. And I think that's the Pennsylvania I want to work for, not the Pennsylvania I think we have.
We are working right now on Tom Wolf's acceptance speech. We should hopefully get that to you later on in the program. Now, coming in right now, Iowa coming into this election, was supposed to go Republican. Well, right now, 7% of the votes are in. 53.5% right now are going Democratic.
Absolutely. This is a big surprise, actually. A lot of people expected Iowa to go Republican, and right now, with the votes coming in, it looks like it might swing Democratic, which could have a lot of implications come 2016 and future elections. So it's definitely something we will be keeping you updated on on throughout the rest of the night.
And now, real quick, let's talk about just one, because we can't get rid of them all right now. Let's talk about one issue that was going into the governor's race for Pennsylvania: income tax.
Income tax, absolutely.
Corbett was opposed to changing it, and Wolf wanted to change it with a 3.07% flat rate for personal income tax. Let's talk about that. That might hurt the middle-class families. That was Corbett's argument.
Right, and Wolf says that he thinks he can do this without amending any of our Constitution and without affecting the middle class. He's really trying to be seen as a champion for the middle class, which is something Republicans tend to do as well.
Now, will that affect the economy? And that was a big thing as well. Pennsylvania right now at the bottom of states for its job creation rate, and that's simply unacceptable, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the argument that they're opposing.
We come in dead last right now in a recent poll in job creation. Wolf is really trying to help boost that a lot, and he wants to do it through a lot of different industries, like manufacturing and drilling, and a lot of industries such as that.
Liquor privatization and abortion are two hot topics that haven't really been covered that much, but we're going to get to those a little bit later in the program. But now, people not voting is a trend throughout the United States, especially for the local elections. The question is, do people care enough to go out of their way to show their feelings? Well, Dan Kitchen went out to the streets of Moon Township and tested out a theory to get people to vote by simply honking their horn.
2 years ago for the U.S. presidential election, I stood out here on the side of the road for an hour and a half to see how many people I could get to honk in terms of which candidate they supported. I got 133 responses in an hour and a half. It went so well, I decided to do it again for the PA governor's election. The results this time were much different. Drivers going by often slowed to look at the sign, but continued on. At all three locations there was adequate sight distance, and on some occasions I even leaned out onto the road to get drivers' attention. In 2012, people were so enthused about honking their opinion that some turned around to do it again. One driver even stopped in a turning lane to ensure her vote was heard correctly. None of that appeared this year, as drivers treated my sign and I no different than the trees behind us. By pack-up time, only 12 vehicles had voted. 8 for Wolf, 4 for Corbett. 4 separate times for when I was out here on the road, I counted the number of cars that went by me in 1 minute and used those to average how many cars went by me the entire hour. I got a total of about 600 drivers went by me this entire hour, and only 12 of them honked their support for one candidate or the other. That equates to a total of 2%. So while last year my results were that Mitt Romney was going to win the election, my results this year aren't that one candidate's going to win. They're that a lot of people don't care as much about the U.S. government election as they do the U.S. presidential one. With RMU Sentry Media, I'm Dan Kitchen.
Thanks a lot, Dan. The results proved that while driving, Pittsburghers voted for Wolf over Corbett by a slim margin. Overall, not many took time to honk their horn. Eddie, what do you think of that? And I do know that you're going to talk a little bit later about people not voting.
Exactly. You know, I think it does stem from that, John. It's just a real apathy towards people voting in these midterm elections. It's expected that somewhere around 20% of people in the United States will actually get out to vote in this election. It's just so low. In regular big elections, you can usually expect around 45 to 50%, but it's just so low now in these midterm elections. I think it really shows, you know, a lack of interest throughout people.
And we'll have more on that topic a little later for you, but in a few minutes, we're going to hear from Leah Fleischel in Virginia. But real quick from the RMU Sentry Media newsroom, Wolf at 56.35%, Corbett at 43.65%. And those are the up-to-date voting results from only 3 minutes ago. So now let's go over to Leah Fleischel, one of my favorite people, to talk some election news. Leah.
Hey everyone, good to be back here. I'm reporting from the Mark Warner Watch Party in Virginia. Things are getting really close as the final votes actually are starting to pour in here. Some reports saying that things are as close as separating the two candidates by just 6,000 votes. Now, if the final result happens to be within a 1% vote, the losing senator does have the right to call a recount, which would certainly make for an interesting election season here in Virginia. Like I said, everybody's definitely anticipating the results, and once I get those results, I will have either footage for you or I will have another report for you on what the results are in Virginia, which a lot of people are watching right now. One of the last in their section to come in with the polls closing back at 7 p.m. here. So it's been a while, and it should be decided soon. I'll check back in with you guys later. Back to you.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you for that update on Virginia. Now, John, throughout the country, we're still taking a look here at some of the close races. Georgia is still pretty close, though it is looking to be in Republican favor, as is Kansas and North Carolina.
And we can even go to Iowa, who is more blue now. 7.0% are in, 53% for Bruce Braley and Joni Ernst at 43.15%. Another one of those huge swing states. I remember Obama did get Iowa when he was up for re-election back in 2012, and that certainly helped his cause.
Yeah, Iowa has a tendency to go blue. There was a lot of talk before the election, before today, about it having a possibility to go red, but it looks like it's going to stay to its old ways and probably will go blue.
And another update from CNN.com, 47 Republicans now elected and 42 for the Democrats. 4 more are needed by the Senate. They might be able to do it by the time we're off. It's a sure possibility, but the Democrats are putting up a good fight.
Absolutely.
And let's go to a quick commercial break. I know we're keeping you guys hanging. We'll have more news for you and more topics from the Pennsylvania governor's race when we come back on RMUSentryMedia.com with live 2014 election coverage.
Of course, I am here with Romo. How are you doing today, Romo? Great. All right, so Romo, just a few questions. How do you think the game is going right now for the Colonials? All right, on top of that, what do you think about the play of Paul Jones and his defense just demolishing Morgan State right now? All right, well, you heard it here first. Romo with his insight to the game. Back to you guys.
Be sure to tune in to Colonial Sports Center every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on RMUSentryMedia.com and Channel 98 around the Moon Township area.
Romo, have you downloaded the app?
Roma, have you seen this app?
Hey, have you seen the app yet? No? All right, put it down. I'll show you what you can do. All you have to do is install it, and it'll open up for you. My favorite part of it is the police blotter. Check this out. When you click into it, you're going to go right to the top left, and as soon as you click on it, everything will be there that you need, so you can stay safe.
Download the RMU Sentry Media app on the App Store. Romo likes it, and so will you.
Welcome back, everybody, to RMUSentryMedia.com. We have some breaking news from our newsroom. Tom Wolf, 56.02%, and for Corbett, 43.98. 75% of the votes are in, and that is of 3 minutes ago.
Absolutely. And we also have some breaking news here. They're ready to call gubernatorial races in both Wisconsin and Florida. Yep. Republicans winning in both of those states. Scott Walker in Wisconsin and then Rick Scott in Florida.
And as many people on Twitter have been saying, are huge losses for the Democratic Party.
They are huge losses. They're also two states that usually have a tendency to mean a lot come presidential elections, which is what we're looking at in 2016. That's the next big election. So these states going Republican could cause a challenge for Democrats in the future.
And later on in the program, we'll have a lot for you on how these elections will help sway what's going to happen in 2016 for your presidential election. So voting numbers for midterm elections are the worst in 4 years. Yes, you heard that right. RMU Sentry Media's own Kendall Vallon went around Robert Morris to talk with students about a new campaign to get young voters to get involved, in a sense. Kendall went out to try and rock the vote.
With the PA gubernatorial race underway, local politicians may not be receiving the attention they need from young voters this November. With approximately 86 million millennials in the United States today, why aren't students showing up to the polls?
I'm not registered, and it's really tough for me to find time to get registered.
Yes, I do plan on voting this year. Actually, I encourage other people to vote too, and I encourage other people to also register to vote.
Based on past results, midterm voting is down across the board, with even less students showing interest than in 2012. According to a poll conducted by the Harvard Institute of Politics, only 23% of 18 to 29-year-olds around the country plan on voting in this year's election. The nonprofit organization, Rock the Vote, aims to encourage the youth vote. Their goal is to have 1.5 million registered before November, including 400,000 under the age of 30. The 2014 campaign, titled Turn Out for What, features celebrities encouraging young adults to register and attend the polling.
You can honestly make a change, and I really think that ever since like the presidential election, I mean, it's common that one vote can change a whole country and change like a whole community.
A study done by Tufts University found that the main excuses by students not to vote is because they are busier than the general population and are discouraged to be informed by local politics.
I'm not really sure what my political opinions are, so I don't really want to make them without knowing more about it.
Students can register at the County Registration Voter Office, by mail, or even the DMV. I'm Kendall Vallon, reporting for RMU Sentry Media.
Thank you very much, Kendall. Younger people need to begin to vote in order for the future to be stable. Is that too broad of a statement? I mean, is that accurate?
No, I think that's absolutely accurate. We're a large chunk of the voting bloc, so we have a lot of power there. And also, we have a lot of power in that we're the people who are going to be living in this country, for years to come. I think we should get out, rock the vote, help take a lead in what's going to happen to this country's future.
And before we get to your story on trying to get people to vote, there's 2 breaking news updates we need to tell you. Straight from the RMU Sentry Media newsroom. Wolf, right now, 55% to Corbett's 44. 77% of the votes are in. This is where Wolf's going to start taking it away.
Yes, and then the other breaking news
in Virginia.
Over in Virginia. Right now, Virginia is looking at a possible recount of their votes. Right now, it is a split percentage-wise between 48.7% for Warner and 48.6% for Gillespie. This could be interesting. If they have to recount, there's only 3,000 votes separating them right now, so it's a real possibility.
And by the way, I don't know if you said it or not, 2,400 votes he's ahead by 2,400, but 92% of the votes are in. So can you say recount?
That was just updated to 99% of the votes are in, and it's still within that 2,000. So I'm thinking, John Fisher, we're going to get a recount.
Hopefully it isn't a Florida situation all over again. We can't have that.
That could be interesting.
All by hand. We're in the 21st century. Dagnabbit.
We don't want that. Now, exercising your right to vote. It's a constitutional given, but just because you're able to do something doesn't mean a lot of people actually do it. Today's midterms election is an important election, but as expected, the polls are reportedly having a low voter turnout. We wanted to know, however, if voting was so low because of a lack of interest and what RMU students were thinking about voting.
And we're going to find out.
All right, we are about 24 hours away from Election Day. I'm out here outside of Nicholson Center. I'm going around and I'm asking students if they plan on voting tomorrow. I want to get a general sense of whether the RMU population is actually interested in voting or not. Are you guys planning on voting tomorrow?
No, I'm not from here, so I can't vote here.
What are we voting for?
She's Canadian. So.
What are we voting for?
So you're not going to vote because you're Canadian?
I have dual citizenship.
Does that mean you can vote?
I think so.
I'm not. I'm out of state, so I didn't do my absentee ballot, so
no. Why not?
I'm not registered to vote.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I didn't even know there was voting going on tomorrow, actually.
Absolutely.
You are going to vote tomorrow?
Yes.
I was going to vote,
right,
but there's no absentee ballots available back in my home city, so I couldn't vote.
Are you planning on voting tomorrow?
No, I'm not.
Why not?
I don't know. I don't have time. I'm too busy.
No, because I'm not in this area. I can't vote in the area.
Are you going to vote tomorrow?
Probably.
I'm afraid I am not.
Why not?
Mainly because my location to vote is way back at home, so unless there's a way to change that, I cannot.
All right, so I've been out here about an hour going around asking students. Some students wouldn't talk to me, and those who did don't seem very promising towards voting. A lot of people have no interest. Why? Most of them are out of state, but some just don't have an interest. Reporting outside the Nicholson Center, I'm Eddie Sheehy. This is SCJ's election night coverage.
Thank you very much, Eddie. So we have some breaking news right now. Rick Scott, with 99% of the votes in, done, it's closed. Rick Scott
will have Florida.
Will have Florida, another Republican face for the United States. And while we have a few moments before we go over to Delaney to see what's going on the Twitter machine, the gubernatorial race in the whole United States, Republicans 20, Democrats 11. This is all from the Associated Press, by the way. Republicans for the House, 180. Democrats with 107. And the Senate, coming from the Huffington Post, Republicans at 47, Democrats at 42. There's still 10 spots to grab in the Senate race. What are your thoughts on that?
It's expected that at least 4 of those are going to go Republican, while 3 of those are being led by Democrats. So,
and over half an hour ago, CNN projected the Republicans to, first of all, have the House, which was reported over an hour ago, and now they're predicting them to take the Senate. And we'll have more later on if Congress is Republican, what's going to happen to Obama in these last 2 years.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting, to say the least. And speaking of interesting, let's go over to see what's on Twitter with Delaney. What do we have for us, Delaney?
All right. Thanks, guys. So I'm back again with some social media. RMU Sentry Media is keeping you guys updated on Facebook and Twitter, so be sure to check it out. Let's take a look. You can follow us at RMU Sentry Media. So here, our newsroom is buzzing to keep you guys updated. We have Eddie's RMU Sentry Media is to report on how much students know about this election. That was the package that you guys just watched. So obviously we're keeping you right up to date. We're talking about, we had Dan Kitchen's Hawking story right there, profile for Governor-elect Wolf, PA here. Lots of stuff keeping you guys really updated. Republican Scott Walker wins in Wisconsin. Look at that. See. And then we can even check out Milena RMU Sentry's report on Wolf for PA winning the election. Let's see what else we got. Rhode Island elects Gina Raimondo. Iowa Senator polls are showing Republican Terry Branstad will win the race. Then we got that. Let's check Facebook, see what's going on with Facebook. I typed in Tom Wolf here a little bit ago. Let's see if anything else has happened. All right. Let's go. Why don't we check on some student apathy? Let's see what people have been tweeting about that. We'll just type that in, student apathy. Let's go up. There we go. Let's see here. Okay, voter apathy is an active choice, says Maria Jones. Do you agree? I would say that it is a student choice. You have the right to do that. Student apathy, tough sometimes to get them to care. You know, these kids say that they don't have time, they don't know much about it. It's easy to find time, and you can learn more, especially from your very own RMU Sentry Media. Student apathy apparently is a myth. UK students tune out to vote like it's their job. Well, that's the UK. The story isn't the same here in the United States. All right, so back to the desk. Let's see what you guys have for us.
Thank you, Delaney. We have a really quick update on that Senate race. Right now, we are only waiting for Idaho and Oregon to give us some results to see how that whole plays out.
And do you want to know where you can see all those results?
John Fisher, why don't you tell me? I'm interested.
I'm going to tell you. RMUSentryMedia.com. You can find everything on tonight's election coverage. We've been on Twitter all night long at RMU Sentry Media, and we've even thrown the videos that we've put together on our Facebook page at RMU Sentry Media and on YouTube at RMU Sentry Media. Talk about a cheap plug.
It's all in one place, and it's so easy to access. It's all the information you could possibly want about it.
And tips for everyday living, don't you know? So before we go to a quick commercial break, breaking news update from our RMU Sentry Media newsroom. Wolf, at 55%, Corbett at 44%.
JK. Holla back, holla back, holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did? Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
I'm starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Franz!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you. Bobby? Susie? Don't worry, that's just the power of the arm.
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
You ever think about buying a bigger place? Just waiting for a visit from the credit fairy. There is no credit fairy. How else will I get a better credit score? Look, you keep your credit card balances low and only open a new card if you really need it. No fairy?
There's no magic to improving your credit, but there's help, and it's free. Go to creditfairy.org.
Yes, ready, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Welcome back, everybody, on RMUSentryMedia.com. Now, during the break, we gathered some news on Pennsylvania House races. Eddie, give us what's going on.
All right, so what's going on right now is much of the state for Pennsylvania House is going to be going Republican. There are, in fact, only 5 districts that will be going Democrat. That would be districts 1, 2, 13, 14, and 17, with 14 being uncontested.
Now let's switch back to this Senate race in New Mexico. They are now calling for Tom Udall, the Democratic nominee, to win. And with 16% of the votes now recorded, 54% for Udall. Alan Way, 45%. Now with a state like New Mexico that isn't highly profiled like an Ohio, a Wisconsin, a Pennsylvania, a New York, what do those smaller states, in terms of numbers, have to give to the election?
Well, you know, I think it's really interesting when you look at smaller states like New Mexico, especially where New Mexico is placed. It's kind of in that border between the Midwest and the West, and the West has a tendency to go very liberal, while the Midwest has a tendency to go very conservative. So the fact that New Mexico went liberal isn't a big surprise to me.
Now, we do have an update from CNN.com. The numbers for the Senate race, 48 for the Republican side, 42 for the Democratic side. They're gaining seat after seat by the time it's all said and done. We only have about 18 minutes left to go on our program. We could have the Republicans take control of the House, take control of the Senate.
Right. And a majority of the governor's houses throughout the country.
Yes, and let's look real quick before we go to Vince Russo on the scene. As far as the gubernatorial race in all of the states, Republicans right now with 21, Democrats with 11.
With 9 more Republicans in the lead and 3 more Democrats in the lead.
That's exactly right. Now, while we have a moment, let's go down to the Omni William Penn in downtown Pittsburgh with our own Vince Russo.
Standing here live with Marissa and Ulysses. They have stayed here tonight through thick and thin. Corbett falling short to Wolf. Guys, was this the expected result for you guys tonight?
It was not. It was a little disappointing, but it was still a really great experience to be here and to get to see everything as it happened.
In regards to the result, I thought the get out the vote was going to be a big issue for Corbett. Tom Wolf ran a very good race, but as we can see, it did not show in Corbett's favor. I thought the get out the vote was the biggest issue, what was going on. It's a shame in regards to the some of the aspects of the cuts in funding for education that were used by Tom Wolf consistently, that everything wasn't exactly true, which is, it's sad, but a lot of the voting populace had seen that. But the get out of the vote was yet again a big issue, and it did not work in the Republicans' favor tonight.
And how did you feel the atmosphere was here based on a lot of people projecting Wolf to win big, or even early on in the weeks leading up to? How did you feel the atmosphere was even up to Corbett coming out and speaking?
I think everyone was very appreciative of all of the efforts that Corbett has put in for the last 4 years. I think a lot of people anticipated a Wolf victory, but they were still very appreciative of all of the efforts that Corbett put in.
All right, back to you guys up in the studio.
Thank you very much, Vince. And we have some updates from around the United States. Let's go over to the western side. Arizona right now, Doug Ducey, they are calling it the gubernatorial race there, up 53% over Fred Duvall, the Democratic nominee in Arizona. So that governor's race is done. Another win for the red.
Right, and right now, however, smack dab in the middle of our country, Kansas. Kansas is having a very interesting race and a very close race. 35% of their polls are reporting, and we're seeing Democrat Paul Davis leading right now, but only with 48.33% of the vote. So this is going to be an interesting state to watch throughout the night because it could be a pocket of blue in an area dominated by red.
And remember to always go to RMUSentryMedia.com and RMUSentryMedia on Twitter to find all of the latest updates and who is winning each state, whether governor, Senate, or House. Now, before we go down to Haley on the south side, let's talk a little bit more about the governor's topics that were hotly contested and talked about. Pensions, healthcare, education, all of them are relevant. Let's start with the education portion. There have been some arguments on the Republican side that education has gone up as far as funding, but the results aren't there.
Yeah, Tom Wolf, our new governor, has, blasted Tom Corbett repeatedly for reportedly cutting over $1 billion in funding from education. Now, Tom Wolf has a plan. We're going to have to see if he carries it out where he wants to, add an extraction tax on natural gas in Pennsylvania to help pay for education and start giving money back to that.
Now, let's talk about the pensions. Tom Corbett wanted to implement a new 401k style system, as well as a pension reform that will provide property tax relief. Now, we all know the liberal side of it. Give us a little insight on that.
All right. Well, Tom Wolf has an expressed opposition to reducing benefits for state and school district employees. He's really all for pensions. He believes in pensions, and he believes that they can help.
Now, let's take a brief break from that. We'll get to that a little bit later, but now let's go back down to the south side with Haley Sawyer. Haley.
Hi, I'm Haley Sawyer here with Nancy Mills, chair of the Allegheny County Democratic Committee. Now, Nancy, what are some of the things you're hearing tonight, hearing people say? What are you conversating with people about?
Well, we're very, very pleased about the outcome of this election. 4 years ago, Allegheny County actually went for Tom Corbett. So we had a challenge, and we wanted to make sure that never happened again. And so this year, we're very, very proud that Allegheny County has delivered 59 to 41% of the vote for Tom Wolf. So we're very excited about that. And we endorsed Tom Wolf in March last year, March 8th, and we've been with him ever since. So this has been a long journey, but very, very, very good journey.
Well, I'm so happy for you guys, and thanks again for being with us.
Well, thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Haley Sawyer, RMU Sentry Media.
Thank you very much, Haley. Now, HuffingtonPost.com right now, if you go onto their website, you can see their headline, Dem Disaster, bold and underlined. The GOP is 1 seat away from the Senate. What do you take from that?
I think it's a pretty bold headline to have, but in a lot of ways, I think you can look at it as a Democratic disaster. I mean, we expected Republicans to do, pretty well coming into this election, but they're really surpassing expectations and they're really taking over. Now, I don't know if a lot of this is coming from, a disappointment in Barack Obama, but I think a lot of that, is playing a role in, this switch all of a sudden to a very focused Republican voting this year.
Now, CNN's election center still has that it's Republicans 48, Democrats 42 in the Senate race. However, CNN is projecting that Republican David Perdue, like we talked about earlier, will win the race for Georgia Senate seat, defeating Democrat Michelle Nunn.
Absolutely. Now, we are getting in that there are still an expected 4 Republicans who are in the lead throughout in the Senate races and Houses. There are 28 Republicans still in the lead, but there are 31 Democrats in the lead, but adding 31 to their 112 won't put a dent into the Republicans' 189.
Absolutely not. And like we said, whoever you're following tonight, whether it's NBC, Fox, CNN, Huffington Post, the Associated Press, make sure you're reading the proper stuff. I mean, coming from experience, we followed sources that were completely incorrect, false, giving out completely off-the-wall information. So be prepared out there, especially if you want to be knowledgeable and start to gain some intelligence on the political scene. You need to follow the right people. Am I right?
You are absolutely 100% right, John. Now, we also have some more news coming out of the Huffington Post. We have an update on Iowa. Iowa also, much like Kansas, looks like it is leaning Democrat, which is a development, really. You know, Iowa was for a while there going Republican. Now it's going Democrat. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. And Kansas is still very close, but it looks like Kansas could be pulling ahead a little bit for the Republicans.
Well, there's one tweet right now. I'm stealing Delaney's job as we speak. Down goes Democrat Orman in Kansas, and that's all she wrote, unquote. So that's another big development coming out from the Midwest. Kansas, one of those bigger states, and that's going to tell the tale in 2016, at least one of the big pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, it absolutely. Well, you know, looking forward to 2016, you know, we're going to have to really now pay attention because, you know, a lot of people expected Democrats to dominate the landscape over the next 2 years, but it looks like it could be going a different way.
Absolutely. We'll have more for you coming up next on rbsentrymedia.com for 2014 election coverage. So keep it here.
Of course, I am here with Romo. How are you doing today, Romo? Great. All right, so Romo, just a few questions. How do you think the game is going right now for the Colonials? All right, on top of that, like, what do you think about the play of Paul Jones and his defense just demolishing Morgan State right now? All right, well, you heard it here first. Romo with his insight to the game. Back to you guys.
Be sure to tune in to Colonial Sports Center every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. on rbsentrymedia.com and Channel 98 around the Moon Township area.
Romo, have you downloaded the app?
Romo, have you seen this app?
Hey, have you seen the app yet? No? All right, put it down. I'll show you what you can do. All you have to do is install it, and it'll open up for you. My favorite part of it is the police blotter. Check this out. When you click into it, you're going to go right to the top left, and as soon as you click on it, everything will be there that you need, so you can stay safe.
Download the RMU Sentry Media app on the App Store. Romo likes it, and so will you.
Welcome back to the Society of Collegiate Journalists Present Election Night coverage. Now, we have an update for you on Tom Wolf. Tom Wolf is our next governor of Pennsylvania, but as more precincts continue to report, we now have 84.58% of all precincts reporting, with 55.82% of that vote going to Tom Wolf and 44.18% going to Tom Corbett. So the gap between them is continuing to close as the night goes on, and they're about within 10% of each other.
And those are the closing in for Tom Wolf. That's due to the healthcare issues that he has spoken upon. I mean, what about President Obama's stop at Temple University just a few days ago to try to obviously he's pimping Tom Wolf. I mean, let's seriously
call it what it is, John. You know, in that side of the state, Tom Wolf has a big support, a group of supporters over in Philadelphia. But bringing in President Obama, you know, talking a little bit about healthcare, talking about the importance of voting, it was a great step for Tom Wolf.
And before we go to Haley Sawyer for another one of her fantastic stories, just one quick quote from Chris Christie, who helped to promote Tom Corbett a few days ago as well. And I quote, "One more half-baked Obama rally and Corbett will win by double digits." Well,
we didn't see that happen. Chris Christie,
not at
governor
all.
of New Jersey, was a little off on that prediction.
And real quick, what about, you know what? Let's go down to Haley Sawyer right now. When we come back, we'll have our own analysis on Chris Christie's remarks to a rioter during the Hurricane Sandy anniversary. Let's go down to Haley Sawyer.
Hi, I'm Haley Sawyer here with Marcus Vaughn.
Service Employees International Union is what SEIU stands for, and we're backing our Democrat nominee Tom Wolf for governor, of course, right? And yeah, we believe in what he does, and goodness, we wouldn't be out here knocking on doors if we didn't.
What were some of the things you guys did leading up to this election?
We've been out for a couple months door knocking. The people have finally spoke. We got a new governor in.
Thank you very much, Haley, for your fantastic story once again. And thank you for all of our reporters' hard work tonight, going out, doing their due diligence, and showing why politics really matter in society. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So before we go to social media for Delaney's last report, Chris Christie's outrage or riots, and there was a rioter that came in during a Hurricane Sandy press conference. It was their anniversary, 2 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he stood in front of the camera with a white sign, literally rioting during Christie's press conference. And Chris Christie literally called him out.
Yeah, Chris Christie called him out, you know, and this video is sort of going viral amongst Republicans. You could hear in the background a lot of people cheering for Chris Christie. Chris Christie's a really interesting figure in the Republican
I think that's saying in the
Party.
Least intriguing, an anomaly.
Yeah, he really is, and people look to him now as a real role model for the Republican Party. And I think you can contribute some of what he's done to a lot of the success the Republican Party has been having lately.
Now let's go from the GOP to the Democratic side. If you want to know more about Tom Wolf, well, here's a little bit about the man that will be your next governor.
I am a native, lifelong Pennsylvanian. I grew up in York County. I live in the house I was brought home to from the hospital. I have not moved from my roots. And I recognize that I am very, very different. As Rich said, I came out of York County and I did my level best to get out. I went to Dartmouth, spent a year there, and realized after a year that wasn't far enough away. I went off to India in the Peace Corps. I dropped out of college at the age of 19. Actually, I'm supposed to say I took a 2.5-year leave of absence. Went off to the Peace Corps, was an agricultural extension worker of the Green Revolution in the late 60s, early 70s, and then came back and decided what I wanted to do was be an academic. I finished Dartmouth, got a master's degree at the University of London, and went to MIT to do a PhD. Now, people ask me, what did you do your PhD in at MIT? And I say, science. I got a PhD in science, which is true. It was political science. And instead of going into teaching, I decided to go back and get involved in my community and in my family business. That was going to be my contribution. I came back to York. I needed to learn the family business, which was building products, residential building products. So I learned from the bottom up. I started driving a forklift. And I keep saying I was the only PhD forklift operator in York County at the time. I will be the first governor in the history of Pennsylvania ever to have managed a True Value hardware store. Yeah? Thank you. Unconventional? I think so. So anyway, I was proud of that. And then in 1986, I got two fellow partners, actually cousins, and we decided to buy the business. We borrowed a lot of money. I know borrowing is a theme in my campaign. Borrowed a lot of money and bought the company and built it over the next 20 years into a really big building products company, one of the biggest in the country. And I was proud of that. But I was even prouder, and Rich pointed this out, I was even prouder of the way I did it.
And that will be your new governor when he's sworn in January in Harrisburg. Let's go back to Delaney Hassel for one more quick report.
All right, guys, one last look before we go tonight. Governor, your now new governor, Tom Wolf, has tweeted, "As your PA governor, I will work with you, and I can't wait to see what we do together." That was his latest tweet. And an update on Governor Tom Corbett. He still hasn't changed his Twitter handle and still has not tweeted. And going back to our election 2014 hashtag, as you can see, still been blowing up. Since Eddie and John have been talking, it's just been nonstop. So everybody in the Twitter sphere has been hashtagging a lot. And be sure to follow Army Sentry Media on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook to get any more updates on that. And real quickly, an upset in Maryland. Anthony Brown was been thought to win and actually is losing. So take it back to this. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Delaney, and thank you for everything you've done all night keeping us updated. One last final update on Pennsylvania. Right now, the Republicans are leading in the House for Pennsylvania, and we still only have 5 Democrats.
In the Senate, it looks like it's in the Republicans' hand, as well as the House and the gubernatorial race, 22-12 there for the Republicans. Thank you to all who have tuned in for the Society of Collegiate Journalists live election night coverage on RMU TV. Be sure to check out our online coverage as well at RMUSentryMedia.com. And from everybody here, Dante Vermain, Hannah Smith, for Eddie Sheehy, any closing words, last remarks?
No, I think this was a very successful election night. I'm very surprised by some of the results.
As we are, we'll see you all in 2 years for the 2016 presidential election. We'll see you all next time. Take care.